Hi, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. It's good to place my view in gallery view by tapping the icon on the top right of your screen. I get to see the members of our community, and I hope you will as well. Each week, it's pretty extraordinary to see the fullness of our community and the multi-generational nature of our Friday night experience as we see the smallest of children to our adult community. Together we gather. Every once in a while, though, we meet for a service called TGIS, which is a service which includes a sermon that is comprehensible for all and highlights some of the work of our school programs. So before we begin, if we can just begin with a heart tap, since we can see each other. It's good to see all of you. And we're going to begin with a little recording that highlights some of the work that's been taking place virtually in our youth community as the learning of Torah continues, even in these times of separation.
I have a question.
I have an answer for you.
When we were planning for this year, we wanted to offer virtual but yet experiential learning.
We had the opportunity to just jump full into Zoom. Our community is not at 10 Bethel. At the current moment, it's tons and tons of little Zoom rectangles.
I have been so excited to see how the students in my cooking classes are making a community even through this virtual platform. We learned about Hanukkah specifically, and we discussed the miracle of the oil and how it lasted for 8 days instead of 1. Together we were able to make zucchini fritters as a play on latkes.
Is it okay if I already graded the zucchini?
In the book club, we're able to build community through books, through sharing stories. What do you think of the book so far?
It's not like boring and bad, but it's not like super exciting. It's like in the middle.
In our Hanukkah lesson, when they were sharing stories from their own lives of when they've been shamashim, when they've helped other people.
Sunday is by far my favorite day of the week. One of my favorite memories has to be we reenacted the entire Hanukkah story. They create a connection to the material that is not just rooted in a story, but it's physical and spiritual and intellectual.
What we were able to do was take the world of Minecraft, and instead of just taking this as a video game, being able to use it to connect on a level that it really wasn't designed to, but is really a perfect platform for. I want you to add something to your build that allows you to really appreciate Shabbat. We were able to do a whole bunch of different experiments using bioluminescence, where they were able to pick up a box at TVE, and it was algae that glowed by itself in the dark, and they're able to use 3 different chemicals that we find in everyday life, relating that back to Torah and the idea that God created light and pulled light from the darkness, where light is all the way around us. We just have to remember to look for it, both in just a sense of science, but also community and building and love all around.
I wanted to make sure that we continue this tradition that our young artists' creative and spiritual identities were able to remain one and the same. Seeing how they can come up with how to connect bravery to colors, and then also to create paintings that then we could create a Zoom quilt about, and to be able to symbolize this really beautiful connection that maybe we're not all together in person, but we are in a totally different way. And much like light, I want you to build out.
We've been creating dances and songs and poems that kind of help us learn about our traditions and our practices.
We're still here, we're still together.
I've really loved connecting with my students this year in ways that I never could have imagined.
question.
Connect.
So I want to thank our educators and everyone who's been working on our virtual learning. It's amazing what can be accomplished even in these moments. And so is true on Shabbat as we gather on Zoom each week. One thing we've learned during these times is that what you do impacts me and what I do impacts you, that we're all dependent on each other, that we can't do everything ourselves. Sometimes we need to say, we need help. We need to rely on others. And that's what our community is for, to be together, to support one another and uplift each other. And that's what we do on Shabbat. So let's join together with the words of L'chuna Ranana as we celebrate this Sabbath Eve together.
L'chuna Ranana L'Adonai Nariya L'Tsoyishenu Nikad Mafanav Betodah Bizmirot Nariya lo yalalay yalalay
To Shabbat for many, many reasons. And so on TGIS, we've prepared a little bingo card of kavanot, of intentions. Some of you may have downloaded them in advance, but they include reasons for coming to Shabbat. Perhaps you've come here to gain inspiration, to see a better version of yourself. Perhaps you've come to Shabbat to take a deep breath, to rest, to feel calm. Perhaps you've come to sing or connect with community or your higher self. Perhaps you've come for all of the above. But Rabbi Safa, I know we have members of our community who are willing to share some of the reasons they celebrate Shabbat.
Yes, thank you, Rabbi Sismine. And before we continue, I just want you to notice that we have put the link for this spiritual bingo card in the chat. So if you haven't yet downloaded it, you can do so. So 3 households from our learning programs of all generations have volunteered to share their own Shabbat intentions with us this evening. What is it about their Shabbat practice that is meaningful to them and why? So I would love to invite the Allen family, Jonathan and Marnie, Lucas, Olivia, and Abby to share our first kavanah, our first intention.
Shabbat Shalom. On Shabbat, we look forward to staying off our screens and doing more quiet activities.
I look forward to reading my new library book.
We also try to do more activities together, like board games and playing cards.
I'm excited to play Exploding Kittens and Dragon Wood.
We look forward to lighting the candles and singing blessings together as we mark a peaceful transition to our Shabbat time.
Amazing. Thank you, Allen family. So let us all mark our own transition to this peaceful Shabbat. And I am going to invite all of you to pull near your Shabbat candles so that we can see them in view. And we are inviting our educational team, our full-time staff of educators, to light our Shabbat candles just as they light the way for us in learning this year. And our song leader, Leah, will go ahead and lead us in the candle blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you, Ed team. Shabbat Shalom.
So let us continue welcoming Shabbat with words of Lecha Dodi, greeting Shabbat with goodness, with blessing and joy. Let's join together.
Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad hishmi'anu U'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'li tehila lecha dodi likrat kala במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת קלה הנה שבת נקבלה התעוררי כי באורך דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת קלה הנה שבת נקבלה יללי יללי We invite you now, if you are able, to please rise in body or in spirit as we greet the Sabbath bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'v'tzola toch emunei am segula boi chala olecha P'nei Shabbat nekabela. P'nei Shabbat, P'nei Shabbat nekabela.
After a full week, let us find our breath and the stillness and allow the words of Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
And I want to invite the Florence family to share our next Kavanah, Justin and Maya, Sasha and Isabel.
Our family Shabbat celebration involves a traditional Friday night meal, burritos from Anna's Taqueria.
Before COVID, this was meaningful because it was the one night of the week that our family could regularly eat dinner together. We have kept it going during COVID-19 because we find that it helps us separate the week from the weekend and reconnect as a family.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Florence family. Thank you for reminding us that our ritual on Shabbat can be creative, whatever brings us together in love.
Much, Rabbi, let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu Leshalom. Hashkivenu, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu Leshalom. V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu lechaim ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu hashkivenu leshalom. Let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
As we turn to our Amidah, as we ask God for the ability to pray, let us take our prayers of gratitude and blessings for ourselves and for each other And let's place them in the chat box. And as we do so, let us share in a collective offering of goodness, of blessing, of peace, and of love. So I invite you to place your prayers, your blessings, your wishes for one another and yourself in the chat box at this time.
Adonai, Sefatai Tivta, Viagi, Tehilatecha, Adonai, Sefatai Tivta, Viagid Tehilatecha, open up our lips that we may praise your name. Open up our hearts that we may feel our pain. Open up our souls and let our love make us whole. And we will praise your name, Adonai, Sefatai Tivta, Viagid Tehilatecha, Adonai, Sefatai Tivta, Viagid Tehilatecha.
Take a moment for our own personal prayers, silent meditation. In Psalm 96, we read, Yismechu hashamayim, let the heavens rejoice and the earth exult, let the sea and all within it thunder. We continue with the words, Ya'aloz sadai, the fields and everything in them exult. Then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of Adonai, for Adonai is coming. Adonai is coming to grace the earth. God will rule the world justly, its peoples in faithfulness. I'd like to thank our music madrichim for bringing these words to life, this meditation to life with one another through the powers of technology. So let's join in with them, these words, Ya'aloz sadai.
Ya'aloz sadai, bechol asher bo Ya'aloz sadai. Ay, 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 Ya'aloz sadai, bechol asher bo Ya'aloz sadai. Ay, 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 az yiranenu kol atzei ya'ar, 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 Ya'aloz
Alo Sadai. Ay, 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 ay.
Yasher Koach. Along with all of our hopes and our prayers that we are bringing into Shabbat, we take a moment to think about those who are in need of a Misha Berach, a prayer for healing. So I invite you at this moment to, if there's someone who you are thinking about, whether they need healing of the mind, healing of body, or healing of spirit, I invite you to put their name in the chat box, make their names known so that we can hold them in our hearts, wish them a refuah shlema, a full and complete healing, as we join together in the words of Misha Berach.
Mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. Let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
And as you well know, on Shabbat, we also give thanks for the sacred moments we've shared during this past week, those God-given times. And so if you have celebrated a birthday during the past week, we invite you to raise your hands. I see a lot of birthdays, and I learned through email this week. So I want to wish a special happy birthday to Jordan Moffinson, who turned 6, and Ella Sapphire, who turned 7, and Annie Ganem celebrated her birthday, and many of you on the screen I see this evening. Happy birthday, everyone. How about an anniversary? Any anniversaries this week? Mazel tov. How about the anniversary of a bar or bat mitzvah? Because I learned that Alan Solomons celebrated his 59th bar mitzvah anniversary. And if we were not on Zoom, Alan, I would make you chant a few lines of your Torah portion, but Parshat Yitro. So happy anniversary. How about you celebrated a first of something this week? You did something new that you've never done before. Mazel tov. For all of these things, we give thanks to God for allowing us to reach this moment. Hopefully you felt healthy this week. Let us give thanks with the words of Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah
invite Eric Rosen to unmute and share with us his Shabbat Kavanah.
Thank you, Rabbi Sapphire and Hannah, for giving me this opportunity. My religious and Shabbat observance is based on emotions, how it feels to me, cerebral, how I think about it, memories, how it brings them back, and interconnectedness, how it helps me connecting with other people. I begin preparation by reading the upcoming Torah portion a day or two before so that I can understand the sermon and it will be meaningful to me. I observe further at services, and that is where the emotion takes over, especially the music. In pre-COVID days, interconnectedness, I would arrive at TBE often an hour early so I could schmooze with my friends. And in a COVID environment, I use the gallery view and I email my friends afterwards. Memories, Barbara and I light Shabbat candles on the candelabra that my grandmother used when I was growing up, and that brings back great memories for me. I continue my observance on Saturday by often emailing comments to the rabbi who gave the sermon, and those comments are always graciously received, notwithstanding my evolving theology. Finally, I continued the theme of interconnectedness on Saturday afternoon by hosting a Zoom call with teammates I played basketball with 60 years ago. TBE's Babayit Learning Program, thanks Hannah, you do a great job, suits me perfectly. We recite Havdalah, which for me is inspiring and emotional. We pray, we meet and discuss, all of which complement the structure of my religious observance. So thank you and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Eric. That was a beautiful reflection and perfectly placed because I'm about to share with you a Shabbat Drash, a story sermon for this evening. And Eric is quite an inspiration in sharing his reflections of the sermon and continuing the conversation onto Shabbat. So I invite you all to do the same as well. So a word about Parshat Yitro. One of the things that I love about our prophets is that they are not perfect people. In fact, it is their imperfection, their real life human challenges that we learn from the most. Moses is perhaps the most human of all the prophets. He acts from his emotions out of anger or frustration. He has real life challenges, a speech impediment, and a bit of an unstable childhood. He pushes boundaries, airs his frustrations, and doesn't always listen. In this week's Torah portion, Moses is just plain worn out. His father-in-law, Yitro, comes to visit him to deliver some sage advice. Yitro addresses Moses, who is advanced in years. He's well over 80. His body probably aches. He's tired, but he is persisting. From the time the sun rises until the time it sets, Moses presides over the people as their judge, listening to their problems and trying to figure out how to address them. Moses tries to deal with all of the people's problems on his own, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of people. Maimonides, a medieval commentator, points out that Moses is trying to do so much that he's actually doing nothing instead. He's so overworked that he's paralyzed. In this way, he's left his people standing in the desert, waiting for his judgment, and he's on the verge of burning out. Or as my mom used to say, he's burning the candle from both ends. Yitro sees Moses under all of this pressure and sees that this type of leadership is not serving the people either. And he says, "What is this that you are doing, Moses?" I picture my mentor who, when I used to find myself in a pickle, used to say, "And how's that working for you?" Yeah, that question always used to stop me in my tracks. Oh, I'd think, this really isn't working for me. And in the same way, Yitro doesn't just slap Moses on the wrist and say, "No, Don't do that. He helps Moses realize first that this way of life is not working for him. That's often the first step, realizing yourself that a change has to be made. Yitro persists, "Why do you act alone, Moses?" And Moses answers just like many of us would, "Because I'm needed. I have to do this. I am the only one who can do this." He feels a beautiful sense of obligation and responsibility. It's just that his boundaries and his life balance are completely misaligned. So Yitro puts Moses's checks and balances. He puts his checks into balance by reminding him, "No, what you are doing is not right. You will surely wear yourself and the people out as well. This task is too heavy for you. You cannot do it alone." The commentator Sforno reads this as, "You cannot believe that you are the only one who can carry this weight." Yitro doesn't just point out the problem, he offers Moses a solution. Spread out the work over other trustworthy leaders who can hear the issues that come at each level in the community, over the thousands, the hundreds, the 50s, and the 10s. Let them judge the people at all times so that you can hear the major disputes and they can decide the minor ones. It makes so much sense, but from the thick of the issue, Moses can't see the solution himself. He needs Yitro to unburden him and point out that Moses has an entire community to rely upon. Moses does just as Yitro suggests, and we don't hear any more about this issue again. I can imagine the relief that Moses feels, as well as the people. This is a profoundly important message for us. In our society, we are so often discouraged from sharing our problems or our challenges. Chin up, stay strong, keep calm, and carry on. But it's so important for us to remember, no matter our age or our profession or our role in our family, we are not meant to carry any burden alone, not a physical one or an emotional one. Overburdening ourselves, it's not efficient, and it's also harmful for ourselves and for others. Personally, I find this is a lesson I have to remember over and over again. I'm pretty stubborn and impatient, and I want immediate results. It's too embarrassing sometimes to ask for help, or too much effort to wait for someone to come around to support me. I can just do it myself, right? So then I go to move that heavy box, and the next thing I know, I pulled a muscle in my back. And then I'm really no good to myself or to others. Or I tackle a work project all by myself, thinking I'm the only one who knows exactly what to do. It'll just be quicker if I get it done, especially in this virtual world where we can't work together in person. And I forget that we have an entire team of creative professionals and a community of dedicated lay leaders who are not only quite capable, but have a greater reach and impact than I could ever have alone. Or I hold on to a worry or a challenge until it weighs on my heart so much that I become tired, distracted, and yes, even a little irritable. We might think others expect us to be happy, completely independent, calm, and be able to shoulder our burdens alone, but that is not reasonable or realistic. Just like Moses, we are real people living in a difficult world. And perhaps the best reminder in all of this is that we are part of a community that I truly believe is quite capable of holding the weight of any challenge we could ever face. Temple is a place where we can ask for help. I am reminded of this every day. Just this week, I supported a few efforts that might help to lift a burden that you are carrying. Today, you might have seen in the e-blast that we launched a TBE volunteer effort to support those in our community and beyond who are having trouble registering for the COVID-19 vaccine. So if you need help or know of someone who does, I first want to say, it's okay. And then I want to invite you to reach out by checking today's e-blast and responding. And next Shabbat, our caring team and our mental health initiative will host a special guest for Shabbat services. Radio host David O'Leary will share his story and why he is an advocate for suicide prevention. After services at 7:30, he is going to present Talk Saves Lives, a program to remind us that talking with and sharing our burdens with a loved one or a trusted friend can save a life. We have a community overflowing with wise and caring Yitros, ready to unburden the Moses in each one of us. And here's also what I believe about our community. When we get help from one another, we connect with God. For God lives in the holy ways we care for one another. And God lives in our ability to be vulnerable and ask for help. Shabbat is a great time to remember that we are only human. We cannot do it all. And it's a great time to practice this Jewish value of reaching out to ask for help, to unload the struggles that weigh us down. And in this way, I hope, I pray that you experience a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Perhaps one of our most favorite things to sing is the most appropriate thing for us to offer right now. I do hope you'll join in these words with me, which mean that God is my strength and my song. God is my salvation. Ozi Zimrat Ya Vayhili Sing together. We are stronger when we lean on one another once more.
So Rabbi Sapphire, I want to thank you for delivering the Dovar Torah this evening and organizing all of our participation from our TGIS community. I must admit, true story, as you started to speak, I thought that for 9 times out of the last 20 years as rabbi of TBE, this was the weekend that I would deliver the sermon to plumb the depths of Torah to explore who would win the Super Bowl.
You should have stopped me midway, Rabbi.
So
I would have loved to hear that. Do you have a drash on that?
Well, this is where I stop telling the truth and I make up the story that I just pulled out a giant Bible that sits right next to me. I opened up the page and it suddenly revealed to me who will win the Super Bowl on Sunday. So I will reveal that right before Kiddush, but it is kind of sad that our Patriots are not playing this year. So I thank you for delivering the Devar Torah and bringing us that message of hope in these difficult times. So Yasher Koach. Let us conclude the formal liturgy of the service with words of Mourner's Kaddish so that we can acknowledge the mourners in our midst. If you are a mourner, we invite you to use the chat box to type in the name of the individual you're remembering, or rise or raise a hand so that we can see you as a mourner in our midst this week. And I specifically call to mind those members or relatives of members of our congregation who have passed away during the past 30 days. Catherine Aberjali, David Brown, Willa Rosenthal, Morton Silen, and Sam Weinred. I've also been asked to mention the names of Bert Berger, Pearl Cohen, William Einhorn, Roland Finkelman, Rosalind Foster Bean. We remember all of them, along with Frida Winshaw, Benjamin Winshaw, and those whose names are recorded in our chat room this evening. And so if we can place the words of Mourner's Kaddish on the screen and recite these words together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamad divrei chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayed chol Beit Yisrael, v'agalav izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam olamei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Ta'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen.
Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Any announcements, Rabbi Sherman?
There's lots of ways to engage over the next week. I'm teaching a class on the introduction to Jewish text. So if you are looking to explore what are all these texts that we are talking about, please join us. We'll be meeting again on Monday night. I know there's T-Bell. And then next Shabbat is also the first day of the Hebrew month of Adar, which means that we can start celebrating Purim, right, Cantor Zell?
You got it. And in fact, was that a lead-in for my announcement?
So.
Thanks. That was perfect. I'm here to remind you that if you are interested in joining our intergenerational Purim choir, it is not too late. You still have about 8 days to submit your video. If you are interested in learning more, please email me.
And so you ask, who will win the Super Bowl on Sunday? Well, of course, there is great wisdom in the Torah. I miraculously opened it up at about 6 o'clock this evening. I went right to the middle, put my finger down on the page, and there it was in Leviticus. It's amazing. The first verses of Leviticus, and I kid you not, it says a chief should come and slaughter part of the herd. But it gets better. Not just an animal of the herd, maybe a buck, but a specific one. There has to be amongst the bucks a flawless male. So all you Tom Brady fans, I'm really sorry. Chiefs by 9. Shabbat Shalom. Let's make Kiddush. Here we go.
But wait, Rabbi, aren't the Buccaneers like not from the herd?
Oh, no, this is Midrash here, Rabbi. There are no pirates.
All right, we'll continue with Kiddush. Dinner.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim Kivanu vacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Hashabbat. L'chaim.
And Motzi, if you have a challah, if you can raise it so that we can see it on Zoom. I see some beautiful chalots. And let's make the blessing together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon yami.
Looks like someone started eating already. Perfect. Now we can say Shabbat Shalom to each other. Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. I don't know. I'm muted. I mute myself. Where am I living?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, great Sapphire family. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Let's do the last one up there.
Shabbat Shalom, Lauren and Ella.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I saw you on Sunday.
Shabbat Shalom.
There's Bud, Jeffrey. Shabbat Shalom, Bud.
Shalom, everyone.
That is good.
Do you hear them? Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
The name?
I put it in the chat box.
Shalom, Julian out. What?
Put it in the box.
Shabbat
Shalom, Eric.
That's funny. Yes, he did. Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, the massive heart attack.
Shabbat Shalom.
When they,
Rania and Bud and Peg and Ellen.
Yeah, you can cut a slice. Give her a small piece.
coronary angiography.
It's real. I can give you the recipe.
Wow. I've never tasted one
The
so
left
good.
descending coronary artery, the most important one,
It's
was
still there.
torn.
You like your fish?
And they had to, unfortunately, he was in the right place. They opened him up right away. And it turned out that 3